Liam didn't remember kissing anyone last night. He just remembered the taste of vodka, the sound of thunder, and how the city spun like it was drunk with him. When he opened his eyes, sunlight crawled across the room like a guilty secret. The sheets were a mess. His head pounded. His mouth tasted like regret. And there was a man asleep beside him. For a long, stunned moment, Liam didn't move. He stared at the stranger's bare back, the slow rise and fall of his breathing. Muscles, inked lines, quiet strength. His dark hair fell carelessly over the pillow, and Liam thought absurdly that he looked like a painting, something carved out of shadow and heat. "What the hell?" Liam whispered under his breath. The words felt too small for the moment. His phone buzzed somewhere in the chaos of clothes and blankets. It was 9:42 a.m. Monday. He was supposed to be at his architecture presentation at 8. He sat up, every bone protesting, and scanned the room. Definitely not his apartment. The walls were a moody gray. There was a half-empty glass of whiskey on the nightstand, and the faint hum of jazz still playing from a record player. Everything screamed expensive, intentional, adult. Liam, meanwhile, was 22, broke, and currently half-naked in a stranger's bed. The man beside him stirred slightly, his voice low and rough from sleep. "You're awake." Liam froze. The man turned, and for the first time Liam saw his face. Older, maybe early 30s. Sharp jaw, storm-colored eyes, and the kind of expression that could silence a room without trying. Liam started, but words failed. "Don't panic," the man said simply, sitting up. "Nothing happened you didn't want." Liam's cheeks flamed. Didn't mean to, I don't even remember." The man reached for a shirt on the chair. His movements steady, calm, annoyingly composed. "You were drunk. You said you couldn't go home, so I brought you here. You fell asleep before you could tell me your name." That sounded almost reasonable. Almost. Liam rubbed his eyes, groaning. "God, this is so embarrassing." "It doesn't have to be," the man replied. Then, after a pause, "I'm Adrian." "Liam," he muttered, still trying to piece his dignity together. Thanks, I guess, for not, you know." Adrian gave him a look, amused. "For not taking advantage of you?" "Yeah, that." Faint smirk. "I don't usually pick up drunk architecture students from bars, so consider yourself special." That made Liam glance up, surprised. "Wait, how did you know I'm—" "You wouldn't stop talking about your final project," Adrian said, buttoning his shirt. "Something about urban flow, sustainability, and how professors don't understand art." Liam's face burned. "Oh my God, kill me now." Adrian chuckled, a low, rich sound that somehow made the room warmer. "Well, you're alive. Might as well get some coffee." He walked toward the kitchen, leaving Liam sitting on the bed, staring after him with the kind of confusion only a hangover and unexpected attraction could create. The coffee smelled like redemption. The silence, though, was another story. "So," Liam began, clutching the mug. "This is your place?" Adrian nodded. "I live upstairs from the bar." "Right? The one with the broken neon sign." "That's the one." They sat across from each other at a small marble counter. The morning light made everything softer, less awkward. Liam watched Adrian move, precise, quiet, like he was used to being in control of spaces. There was something magnetic about him, dangerous even, but not in a way that scared Liam. It just made him curious. "You don't remember anything at all?" Adrian asked suddenly. "Just bits," Liam admitted. "Music, rain. I think someone spilled a drink on me." "That was me," Adrian said, lips twitching. "You bumped into me first." Liam blinked. "Oh, I offered to buy you another one. You said I had the aesthetic of a man who ruins lives but owns a great kitchen." Liam nearly choked on his coffee. "I said that?" Adrian's smirk widened. "Verbatim. Jesus, I should never drink again." "You said that too." For a moment they both laughed, the sound easy, surprising. It cracked open something between them, something neither could quite name yet. Later that day, Liam made it to campus, late and half dying from caffeine overdose. His best friend, Maya, cornered him outside the studio. "You disappeared after midnight," she accused. "Did you get kidnapped or something?" "Something?" Liam muttered, shoving his hands in his pockets. "Define something." He hesitated. "I woke up in some guy's apartment." Her jaw dropped. "You what?" "Nothing happened," he said quickly. "He just took care of me, I guess." "Oh my God, Liam. You have a hangover savior." "Was he hot?" Liam frowned. "That's not I mean yes, but that's not the point." Maya grinned like she'd just found her next obsession. "Oh, it's exactly the point." Days passed, but Adrian stayed in his head like a song he couldn't stop replaying. He tried to focus on his project, a redesign of an old art museum, but every time he adjusted a line on his digital model, he saw Adrian's eyes instead. Cool gray, steady. The kind that looked right through pretense. So when Liam found himself walking past the same bar on Friday night, he told himself it was coincidence. It wasn't. The place looked different, sober. Dim lights, low music, a soft hum of laughter. Adrian was there, behind the counter this time, sleeves rolled up, pouring whiskey like it was an art form. Liam hesitated before walking in. Adrian noticed instantly. "Well," he said, setting down the glass, "if it isn't my favorite architecture student." "I was in the area." Liam lied badly. "Of course you were." Adrian gestured toward an empty stool. "Sit. First drinks on me as long as you don't give another TED Talk about design theory." Liam laughed despite himself. "Deal." They talked, and somehow time slipped. About everything: cities, music, family, the loneliness of trying to build something meaningful in a world that doesn't slow down. Adrian listened the way few people ever did. Not to reply, but to understand. There was gravity in that, and warmth. When Liam finally left, the city air was cool, electric. He didn't look back. He didn't have to. Adrian's voice still echoed in his head. Weeks turned into a quiet routine. Liam worked. Adrian appeared sometimes in his life like a storm, brief, intense, impossible to forget. They didn't label it, didn't define it. But something real was forming in the quiet spaces, in the way Adrian would wait for him outside the studio with 2 coffees, or how Liam started leaving sketchbooks at Adrian's apartment without realizing. Still, there were things Adrian never said, questions Liam never asked. One night, while tracing a design on Adrian's kitchen counter, Liam finally spoke. "Why were you even at that bar the night we met?" Adrian hesitated, eyes flicking to the window. "Let's just say I was trying not to go home." "To your girlfriend?" "Not exactly." Liam's chest tightened. "Boyfriend, then?" "No," Adrian said softly. "Wife." The world stopped for a second. Liam's hand froze midair. "You're married." "Separated," Adrian said quickly. "It's complicated." Liam pushed back from the counter, his pulse loud in his ears. "You think?" Adrian's voice stayed calm. Too calm. "I should have told you." "Yeah, you should have," Liam snapped. "God, Adrian. I'm not. I didn't sign up to be someone's secret." Adrian's expression flickered: pain, regret, something darker. "It's not like that." "Then what is it?" He didn't answer, and that silence said everything. Liam left that night without looking back. But even as he walked through the neon-soaked streets, his chest ached with something he didn't want to name. Not yet. It rained the next morning, the kind of relentless, gray rain that made New York feel smaller. Liam stood at the edge of his studio, staring out the fogged window, his reflection ghosting over the skyline. He hadn't slept. His chest ached with that hollow, nauseating feeling that only heartbreak could make you recognize instantly, even if you'd never had it before. Adrian was married. That sentence alone was enough to tear through every quiet moment they'd shared, every look, every silence, every touch that had meant something real. Or at least it had to Liam. Now it just felt like a lie. "Hey!" Maya's voice cut through his thoughts. She leaned against the doorframe, coffee in hand. "You look like a man who's been hit by both a truck and emotional damage." Liam huffed out a dry laugh. "Accurate. Let me guess. Bar guy." bar guy has a wife. Her eyebrows shot up. Oh, wow, that's messy. Yeah. Maya hesitated, then stepped closer, lowering her voice. Look, I don't know what happened, but I do know you. You feel everything too much. Maybe this isn't about him. Maybe it's about you learning not to build homes in people who aren't ready to stay. Liam looked at her, really looked, and for the first time, realized how tired he was of hoping for things that broke him. Thanks, Maya, he murmured. She smiled softly. You're welcome. Now go design something beautiful out of your pain. That's what artists do, right? He did. For the next few weeks, Liam buried himself in his project sketches, models, renderings, caffeine-fueled nights. But even in the precision of lines and symmetry, Adrian lingered in the way he had looked at Liam's hands while he drew, in the memory of his quiet laugh in the half-dark kitchen. He tried to erase him, but architecture had a cruel truth. When you try too hard to erase something, it leaves a stronger mark. It was almost midnight when he saw Adrian again. Liam was locking up his laptop at the studio when a shadow fell across the glass door. He turned and there he was, soaked from the rain, coat clinging to his shoulders, hair dripping into his eyes. He looked different, unsteady, human in a way Liam hadn't seen before. What are you doing here? Liam asked, heart hammering despite himself. I needed to see you, Adrian said quietly. You shouldn't be here. I know. His voice cracked slightly. But I couldn't not come. Liam hesitated, torn between anger and the old pull that still hummed under his skin. You lied to me. I didn't lie, Adrian said. I just didn't tell you everything. That's the same thing. Adrian exhaled, shoulders tense. You're right. I'm sorry. The words hung in the air, heavy and useless. Liam crossed his arms. You have a wife, Adrian. What do you want me to do with that? I'm not with her anymore, he said, voice rough. We've been separated for a year. The divorce papers are just slow. Liam's throat tightened. Then why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't expect you, Adrian said, stepping closer. You were supposed to be one night a drunk kid who reminded me that life still had color. I wasn't supposed to care. Then stop caring, Liam whispered, though his voice shook. It's easier. Adrian's eyes softened. It's not. Rain tapped softly against the windows. The city outside blurred into watercolor. And for a heartbeat, neither of them moved, two stubborn hearts caught between what was right and what was already too late. I should go, Adrian said finally, voice quiet. Liam didn't stop him. But when the door closed, something inside him felt like it cracked open instead of healing. Weeks passed. The semester ended. Liam's design presentation went better than expected. His professor called it raw, intuitive, emotionally driven, which, ironically, was just code for heartbreak translated into architecture. Afterward, he walked through Central Park, bundled in his coat, snow beginning to fall. He hadn't seen Adrian since that night. Maybe it was better that way. Maybe some connections were meant to burn bright and brief. But life, in its strange humor, had other plans. He saw him again in February. Not at a bar, not by accident, but at an art exhibit one Liam had designed the layout for as part of his internship. He was explaining the spatial flow of the installation to a group of sponsors when he saw a familiar silhouette in the crowd. Adrian. He was standing near a sculpture, dressed in black again, hands in his pockets, gaze steady on Liam like he'd been waiting for him all along. Liam froze mid-sentence. The world seemed to narrow until there was only that look, quiet recognition, a trace of guilt, and something gentler, deeper. When the presentation ended, Adrian waited until the others dispersed before walking over. You did this? He asked softly, gesturing to the exhibit. Yeah, Liam said, trying for casual. Part of my internship. It's beautiful. Thanks. Silence stretched, awkward and charged. Liam wanted to be angry, to stay cold. But damn it, seeing him again felt like finally taking a full breath after months underwater. How are you? Adrian asked. Fine. You don't look fine. Liam gave a humorless laugh. You always were too observant. Adrian smiled faintly. Force of habit. Comes with being an architect. Liam blinked. Wait, you're an architect? Adrian tilted his head. Didn't I mention that? No. Liam exhaled. You said you ran the bar. I do. But that's not all I do. He hesitated, then pulled a folded card from his pocket and handed it to Liam. Adrian Holt, AIA Holt and Partners Architectural Design. Liam stared. You've got to be kidding me. Adrian's eyes glinted with amusement. You could say architecture runs in the family. Liam let out a stunned laugh, shaking his head. Of course it does. Of course the mysterious man from the bar turns out to be a famous architect. Famous is generous, Adrian said, smiling, but his tone carried weight. Let's just say I've been doing this a while. Liam folded his arms. So what now? You show up at my events, drop your business card, and vanish again. No, Adrian said quietly. I came because I wanted to see you. I wanted to tell you I filed the divorce papers. It's done. The world tilted slightly. Liam's mouth went dry. You what? I'm not asking for anything, Adrian added quickly. I just thought you deserved to know. You mattered, Liam. You still do. Liam stared at him, heart pounding with something dangerous hope. You can't just show up months later and say things like that. I know, Adrian said, but I also can't pretend you didn't change something in me. Liam's throat felt tight again. You think saying that makes it better? No, Adrian said. But it's the truth. They stood there, surrounded by art and people and light, and it felt like the universe had quietly conspired to give them one more chance or maybe one more test. They started seeing each other again slowly this time, carefully. Coffee instead of whiskey. Conversations instead of chaos. There were no labels, no promises. Just two people trying to rebuild trust in a world that had already broken it once. Adrian opened up more about his failed marriage, the years he spent designing buildings that looked perfect but felt hollow. I thought success would make me feel whole, he said one night, tracing the rim of his cup. But then you showed up, and suddenly I realized I hadn't felt alive in years. Liam didn't know what to say, so he reached across the table and touched his hand. Maybe we both needed to fall apart first, he said softly. Adrian's eyes met his. Maybe, but even healing has a price. One afternoon, Liam was called into his professor's office. You've been recommended for a summer apprenticeship, she said. It's in Chicago, a major firm. Full scholarship. Chicago. 3 months away. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And yet all Liam could think was, Adrian. That night he told him. You have to go, Adrian said immediately. No hesitation. I don't want to leave you. You're not leaving me. You're going to build something new. That's what you were always meant to do. Liam frowned. You make it sound easy. It's not, Adrian said, his voice low. But if I ever made you stay when you were meant to fly, I'd never forgive myself. Liam blinked back tears. You're infuriating, you know that? I've been told, Adrian said, smiling faintly. Just promise me one thing. What? That you'll come back when you're ready. Liam's laugh cracked halfway to a sob. And what if you're not here? Adrian's gaze softened. Then build something that reminds you of me. The night before Liam left, they stood on the rooftop where they'd first watched the city wake together months ago. The skyline glittered below, alive and endless. The wind carried the smell of rain again full circle. Do you ever think about how random life is? Liam asked quietly. Like, if I hadn't gone to that bar, I would have still found you, Adrian said. Eventually. Liam looked at him, the man who had once been a stranger. Then a mistake. Then something too precious to name. He reached up, brushed his fingers against Adrian's jaw, and whispered, Then find me again. Adrian smiled small, certain. Always. When they kissed, it wasn't desperate like before. It was steady, sure like a promise built on foundations that finally held. And when Liam pulled away to leave for Chicago the next morning, the city didn't feel lonely anymore. It just felt alive. Summer in Chicago passed like a fever dream. Liam barely had time to breathe between deadlines, models, and endless nights sketching under the glow of his desk lamp. Yet somewhere between exhaustion and ambition, he felt something new: peace. Maybe because he was finally building for himself. Maybe because every time he looked at the city's skyline, he saw Adrian in the clean lines and quiet spaces, in every curve of light, every shadow that whispered, "You're still connected." They didn't talk often. A few texts, scattered calls. "How are you?" "Busy." "Proud of you." Sometimes silence said more than words. Still, on the nights when the city felt too large and the loneliness too sharp, Liam would find himself tracing the edge of the sketchbook Adrian had given him before he left its first page still blank. Waiting. 3 months later, he returned to New York. Different city. Different version of himself. The air was colder now, crisp with early autumn. Leaves flared gold and rust along the streets. Liam walked the familiar path from the station, backpack slung over his shoulder, heart beating faster with every block. He hadn't told Adrian he was back. He didn't know if he should. Maybe Adrian had moved on. Maybe this chapter was supposed to end quietly. But when he reached the bar, the same one with the flickering neon sign, he stopped dead. The sign was fixed, and below it, through the glass, he saw Adrian, leaning over the counter, sleeves rolled up, smiling at something the bartender said. The same calm presence. The same quiet gravity. For a moment, Liam just stood there, soaking it in. Then, without thinking, he pushed the door open. The bell above the entrance chimed softly. Adrian turned and froze. "Liam," he said, like the name itself was something fragile, almost unreal. "Hey," Liam replied, his voice trembling just a little. "You still run this place?" Adrian blinked once, then laughed, that low, warm laugh that still hit Liam somewhere deep. "Couldn't sell it. Too many memories. Good ones, I hope." "The best," Adrian said quietly. Then, after a pause, "You're back. For good this time." Something shifted in Adrian's face, relief, maybe. Or hope. They stood there for a heartbeat, both unsure how to move, how to speak, how to bridge the months of distance that had stretched and thinned but never snapped. Finally, Adrian came around the counter, hesitating like he was approaching a dream he didn't quite believe in. "You look different," he said softly. "Older." Liam smiled. "That's one way to say tired." Adrian's hand brushed his arm just barely. "And brilliant, apparently. I saw the feature on your Chicago project. You made the city bend light." Liam laughed, flushing. "You actually read that?" "I kept the magazine," Adrian admitted, voice low. "Maybe a few copies." Liam swallowed hard, eyes stinging in that quiet, dangerous way that always came before tears. "Why do you still do that?" "Do what?" "Make it impossible to forget you." Adrian's smile faltered, replaced by something raw. "Because I never wanted to be forgotten." For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The bar faded, the sound of glass, the hum of music, the laughter all blurred into nothing. Then Adrian said, almost whispering, "Do you want to see something?" He led Liam upstairs to the apartment that had once been chaos, half-lit, full of jazz and shadows. But it looked different now, calmer. The walls were lighter. On the far side stood a drafting table, sketches pinned neatly above it. Among them, one drawing caught Liam's eye. It was his design, the museum project. But next to it, Adrian's hand had drawn another building, seamlessly integrated. 2 designs side by side, forming one shared skyline. "You did this?" Liam asked, voice barely steady. Adrian nodded. "I was working on a new firm concept. Thought it could use a bit of inspiration." Liam stared at the sketches, at the way their lines fit together, distinct yet complementary. Separate stories, one structure. "You built this around mine," Liam whispered. "I built it because of you." Something inside Liam finally broke open, not in pain, but in the quiet realization that this was what love looked like when it survived the storms. Not grand gestures or dramatic declarations. Just 2 people choosing to stay, again and again, even after the world had tried to tear them apart. He turned to Adrian, stepping close enough that the space between them dissolved. I missed you, Liam said. Adrian's breath hitched. I missed you too. They stood there, the city lights spilling through the window, painting their faces gold. And when Liam leaned in slowly, carefully Adrian met him halfway. This kiss was nothing like the first. No alcohol, no confusion. Just warmth. Recognition. Home. Later, they sat on the rooftop again, side by side, watching the skyline flicker alive under the setting sun. Below, New York buzzed with its endless rhythm. But up here, it was just them two architects who had learned how to rebuild, piece by piece, heart by heart. Do you ever think we were supposed to meet that night? Liam asked quietly. Adrian smiled, eyes on the horizon. I think we were supposed to find each other whenever we were ready. Liam looked at him, at the soft lines around his eyes, the calm in his smile, the steady heartbeat he could almost hear in the quiet. He reached over, linking their hands. I'm ready now, he whispered. Adrian squeezed his hand. Then let's start building. The city stretched before them, vast, alive, full of light. And for the first time in a long time, it didn't feel like something they were surviving. It felt like something they were finally creating together. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.